What if your strongest year aren't behind you, but actually ahead of you? Today, I'm sitting down with Michelle Baxter. She's a marathoner, a mom of two, a running coach. She broke the 3 hour marathon barrier after having kids and in her 40s. She's a coach since 2005. She ran a 2 hours and 56-minute marathon, and she's looking forward for Boston. Consistency, identity, and longevity. This is Michelle. I'm a big fan. I've been following you on Instagram. You're an inspiration for me. So I am so pumped to have you here. Welcome to the Call Movement podcast.
Yeah.
Michelle, take us back to when did you start running a marathon? When running become more than run, it became your identity.
I mean, I would even go back to when I first started running when I was 10 years old. It started to become part of my identity. And it was just something that I naturally felt like I had at least some natural ability, but I was also very average in high school and college. And I really did it. It was my social aspect and our social outlet for the day. In high school, was able to connect with people in a way I hadn't in other activities, and in college it was my social time of the day. And then once I post college, I continued running because I just loved it. And in 2010 I ran my first marathon, and it was very humbling. The marathon is hard. The marathon is a beast. So yeah, early on, marathon or running was a part of my identity. And even after having kids, it's still a part of my identity. And, of course, a part of my identity, but not my full identity. And I'm just fortunate to be able to continue to run faster into my 30s and now my early 40s. And it's taken me in avenues and ways that I never thought it would have. So feel very fortunate for where it's taken me. And just, yeah, who it's, and then with running, with training for all of these races, like you learn a lot about yourself. Have learned and continuing to learn about myself. I'm doing some work with a sports psychologist right now. So I feel like even after 20 years, 30 years of running, still trying to figure out how to get rid of some of those negative thoughts in the marathon that I've been dealing with. Yeah, it's crazy what running has done for me.
So tell me, like, how did it shift? Like, after you, didn't you become faster after you became a mom?
I did, yeah, and
How, I mean, this is like incredible. How, like, for the women who are my 35-year-old moms, dealing with pickups, drop-offs at school, working full time, and trying to find time to work out or run whatever activity that includes movement. How how did that happen? How did you become faster after become a mom late in your 30s?
yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'm just my tenacity and my willingness to not give up. But I went into pregnancy. I was like, I would say like most women, just like apprehensive, like excited to be pregnant, excited to have kids, but also like, oh my gosh, what's going to change? Like, how is my life going to be different? I knew it was going to be different, but how is it going to be different? How is it going to affect my running? But I was just like willing to try. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, just put yourself out there and try. What do you have to lose? Like, other than like maybe your time, but your energy, your effort, I think it's just so valuable to at least put yourself out there, set some goals and try. And I don't know if there's like some postpartum mom strength that's but I just, yeah, I did start working with a coach more after I had my oldest, and I think that really helped. That helped me take me to a new level. And like I said, I don't know if those hormones, if I don't know if you have more testosterone after having a baby, but yeah, I just was like, I want to see what I can do. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard balancing all the a newborn. And I did stay at home with my oldest, actually with both of my kids, so more flexibility. I will admit I had more flexibility, and I pushed my kids in the stroller a lot. I was able to do mid-morning, midday runs in that regard. But I still try most of my runs happened while everyone was sleeping, but yeah, I in some ways I don't know, but I also just like I just wanted to see what was possible.
I just love that. A lot of us believe that after we have kids, progress it's almost impossible. And a lot of us, yes, life happens, we get busy, right? And we start pushing stuff that we don't think it's as important on the side. And with you, your story is completely different. It's almost like it's a switch. You always love running, and then you did your first marathon, as you said, 2010, right? Like 16 years ago. And then suddenly you breaking a 3 hour marathon, which is like unheard because I'm sorry, we have to face, we're getting older, right? Like you're running faster than a 20-year-old. That's incredible. And I think it tells a lot about not only passion, but it's that consistency, it's the persistency, it's that drive, that doing something for you to make you feel good about yourself. And it's part of your identity, but it's something that drives you. Probably you feel like a better mom after you run. You're a better person because I know when I don't work out, I feel like I'm crabby. My husband's like, I can tell you didn't work out. So this is very powerful and very inspiring. So now tell me, like, what actually changed? Like, can you pinpoint a moment where you were like, holy shish kebab, I'm running a marathon and it's going to be under 3 hours? Did you have a goal in mind? Or as you start progressing, like, walk me through your mind. Like, if someone who just want to start running, I'm not talking about marathon, what was your mindset to be in that stage that now you're running under a 3 hour
I
mark?
mean, so the journey to a sub 3 hour marathon, it was an 8-year process. So it was very long. And I don't want to have people that ever think like that I just overnight like just happened to run a 3 hour marathon. It was a very long process. So it started before I had kids and didn't happen until after my second child. And so it was a very long process between pregnancies, miscarriages, injuries, COVID. There was a lot going on. But through that whole time, like deep down, I knew it was possible. My coach had put it in my mind back when I was a 3:17 marathoner. And like kudos to her for believing in me at that point in time, because that's a huge chunk of time that I still had to cut off. But she had been following my training through my blog and saw areas I could improve in. And so she really helped me get down to that sub 3 hour marathon. But for those who are just wanting to start, it can get really caught up. I don't know if a lot of your followers are on social media. It can really get in your head with what other people are doing. And so you really have to look at yourself, like just set small goals for yourself. Like if you're wanting to get into running, just start with some run walks. 1 minute of running, 2 minutes of walking, 1 minute running, 2 minutes of walking, and just celebrate those small wins along the way. So, you have a consistent month of running, say 3 times a week. Like, that's great. Celebrate that and realize how much it is doing for you and how much is giving back to you. And I always say, like, a net positive for you and your family if you have kids. Of course, your running's gonna have to you're gonna have to sacrifice time away from your family. I mean, even if they're sleeping, maybe you're sacrificing time, maybe you're sacrificing time away from your family. But the net positive, focus on that part. Like you said, you're a better mom when you get out for my runs. And same for me. Like if I don't get out for my runs, I snap at my kids a lot more quickly. So just think of that net positive of what it gives for yourself and your family. And yeah, like I said, celebrate those small wins along the way. And you don't have to jump right into the marathon. People do, which is, great for them, but start with a 5K, start with a shorter distance run, and do whatever fills your bucket, whatever makes you the happiest. Like if you want to go for a sub 3 hour marathon, great. But if or maybe it's a sub 5 hour marathon, like there's so many goals out there that you can set for yourself. And Yeah, do whatever's best for you. So
Yeah,
that's my
and I
whole
love
thing.
that. And I love that. Like set yourself for success, right? If you never ran a marathon and all of a sudden you're like in the 40s and you were like, I want to do a 3 hour marathon. So not so sure how realistic is that. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's impossible. But I love how you said celebrate your small goals, celebrate small wins. That's awesome. And I also love the part that there's so much on social media, right? Everyone is posting like, oh, I'm running a 7 mile minute per 7 minute per mile. And then I'm running, I'm like, I'm struggling on my 8 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this person's doing 7 minutes. It's so easy to get tangled into social media, what people are doing, and it's part of the movement that I want to create is bringing women back to the basics. Just basic. As you said, start with a 5K, then a 10K, a half marathon. We don't need to do all because there's this amazing amount of amazing people on social media doing all this stuff that makes us feel so tiny, and people get into that mindset. I love how you were like, I'm going to focus on myself, I'm going to work with my coach, I have some goals, I'm going to celebrate small, I'm going to start smaller, and here you are. So an inspiration. By the way, I'm a guilty person of watching stuff on social media, but I clearly remember you post one of your runs. You were in Minnesota. It was like minus 30 degrees. And I was like, it was cold in Denver. I'm like feeling like, and I'm like, what is my excuse? I am gonna go for my run. And that motivated. I was very inspired by you. So I know that there is a lot of negativity on social media, but there are certain things, if we're smart enough, able to process, that we're able to find motivation on it. And I remember your run on that day. And then it made me go for my run because I was feeling not so much inspired.
A lot of people have on my account during the winter because I do highlight winter runs and winter gear specifically. And when I lived in Alaska, like a lot of people would remember my frosty eyelashes. So I always tell people like, if you want to run outside in the winter, it is possible with the right gear. But also, I'm not going to shame you if you go to the treadmill either. Like, do whatever's best for you. But
Yep.
here's some gear, here's some things, here's some tips on how to stay warm and comfortable in the winter if you want to go outside as well. So, yeah, my winter running, ironically, I actually hate winter running, but
I love
it's,
it because I was just like, I'm not feeling motivated. Let me go on her account and see what she's doing.
yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, you were just talking about like seeing all these people doing inspirational things on social media. And I feel like I'm contributing to that, and I don't mean to like, because I will admit I'm a high mileage runner. I have now run several sub 3 hour marathons. I've done a double threshold day, like, and I know that those things are not things I expect most people to do. I want to share my journey and hope it inspires people, but I don't expect most people to do what I do. I have a lot of flexibility in my day. I'm self-employed, so I feel like I need to put that caveat out there, like just because I'm doing it. Remember, I've been running for 20 plus years and I've done a lot of marathons. I've been able to work my mileage up to 90 miles a week, but don't feel like you have to do what I do.
So, no, I find you to be an inspiration, and I do love your account. Very, very realistic. I love that, and I think that's what we need, um, because there is so much. Uh, Beauty on the social media, people don't really show reality, and that's what I'm trying to create with the podcast, like having conversations with women like yourself. If a woman is listening to you right now, if you have a recommendation, where does she start?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go online and find a training plan. Like if you're literally starting from zero, the couch to 5K training plan is great with the run walks. I do have mine's more I have a do sell a training plan. It's called Return to Running. So it's a little bit it's not quite a couch to 5K. It's more like if you have been running in the past. So just because it increases the intensity a little more quickly. But sometimes just going online, I mean, there are coaches out there. I'm a coach myself. if you're not sure where to start, that's a great place to start because then you can ask questions. And I work with a wide range of people from people who hardly ever done races just as an accountability person to marathoners and sub 3 hour marathoners. But I have a wide range of athletes that I work with. So whether it's a training plan online or working one on one with a coach, usually your financial, how much money you're willing to invest plays a role in that. But yeah, other ways, I go get a good pair of running shoes. That's the one thing I'm always going to encourage you to invest in is a running pair, a good quality running pair of shoes. If you can go to a run specialty store and try on 3, 4 different kinds of shoes and honestly just pick what's most comfortable to you. You can certainly can get a recommendation from a friend, but your friend's foot may not be the same shape,
Mm-hmm.
have this,
Mm-hmm.
be the same as yours, small. Something is better than nothing. Start.
Yep.
Make those um make the progression very subtle so that you're not increasing intensity too quickly and risking injury. And and yeah, it's if you can listen to your best.
That's awesome. And where can they find you if someone wants to start training today? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I have a blog. It's therunnersplate.com. And I have my blog, but I also have a tab there on my coaching services. I'm most active on Instagram at the Runners Plate. So, yeah,
Okay, perfect. Now, follow-up questions here. What are your non-negotiables?
in terms of like running.
When you're, yes, do you do strength training, flexibility, mobility, core? What are your non-negotiable stuff that you do regardless?
Non-negotiables would be eating before all of my runs. I made
Mm-hmm.
the mistake for many, many years to do all my runs fasted. I didn't know better. Like,
Okay.
I didn't know better. But it led to a lot of injuries for me. And it wasn't like some severe injuries, but just little niggles and just things that would pop up and flare up. So that's a non negotiable for me now, especially as a female athlete. Eating before your runs is crucial. And then eating again within 30 minutes of finishing my run, carbs and protein. So I've got my core power protein drink here and then had some applesauce. And then I'll have more here in a little bit. And then strength training is definitely a
Okay.
non-negotiable. 2 times a week, 30 minutes, about 30 minutes each time. One session I work with a strength coach virtually, and she really pushes me to work harder than I would on my own. And then trying to get as much sleep as I can. I function best on 8 to 9 hours of sleep. There's definitely nights I get less, but I try to if I get one less sleep one night, I try to make up for it the following night. With kids, as those of us who have kids know, the
Yep.
sleep is
Yep.
is especially when they're younger. I had a terrible, terrible sleeper. My oldest was a terrible sleeper, so um those nights were not the best in terms of sleep. And then, keeping stress low, keeping stress at a manageable level as best you can. Of course, we all have stress, but trying to because stress is stress, and so we have to be careful that we don't add too much stress to that. And as far as like stretching, foam rolling, I tend to do more foam rolling than stretching. Don't usually do any kind of pre-run, prehab work before
Okay.
my runs, but I just make sure to start out nice and easy. I'm not jumping into, something that's too fast. So,
Okay. All right. So, what does strong at 50 for you look like? Do you have plans to be running marathon until we were like 100? How do you envision yourself in a decade in 50 or 60s?
oh my gosh,
I know, we're
it's
a little
always
ahead.
having. Yeah, I just want to be doing whatever brings me joy. So
I
if
love it.
that's marathoning, it's marathoning. If it's running races, shorter races. If it's not racing at all, just because I don't have it doesn't bring me joy anymore, then but I foresee myself still running in some regard. That will probably continue for a while. Yeah, and then also of the strength aspect too, because as I feel like in the last several years, we're really learning how important that strength aspect is for as we age. So continuing to keep up with strength. And I'm one of those runners who doesn't despise doing strength training. It's not necessarily my favorite, but I don't despise it like some runners do. So yeah, I think just whatever brings me joy. And I'm hope if I can. Right now, I live in a small town, and I'm really looking for the community aspect of running right now. I'm kind of searching that out because I'm realizing as I was working with my sports therapist, I'm really realizing I'm really missing that right now. So trying to get plugged into a running community, whether it's me driving 30 minutes to the next town over, or trying to find a couple run buddies here in town. So yeah, just hopefully uh having just a running like community support and whatever brings me joy.
I love the community support. I'm big into that. I'm all about the care pods, right? Especially these days when everything now is trendy. So if you have your running group, your yoga group, your pickleball group, you will have a better tendency for more movements, right? Because the whole point for the call movement is to make sure women's moving one way or another. So then what would you say for a woman who's feeling behind, or if she feels like, oh, that's too late, I'm on my 40s, I'm too busy, I'm working, I have my kids, and what would you tell this person? How would you inspire this person like you inspired me to run when it was minus 30 degrees in Alaska?
Well, what's the quote that people always say? Like, yesterday was a maybe a better time to start, but today's the best time to start. Isn't what's is
I love
something
it.
like
I'm
that?
not the
Like,
best person with the quotes, but sure, I heard.
but it's like,
I
yeah, I
enjoyed
mean, you could have
everything.
started yesterday, but today's the next best opportunity to start. So I think
For
that's
sure.
people, I hear people on social media talk about starting businesses, especially and how or starting a social media account and how scary it is. But
Yep.
you just gotta, try it. You just gotta put yourself out there, and the right people will find you in that regard. Um, yeah, and I think just starting small,
Yep.
and if you can find a buddy, that helps immensely for the accountability piece and just the joy that you'll get from having that experience with somebody else. Like I said, I live in a small town, so it's harder to find the community aspect. But if you live in a larger city, it seems like there's run groups everywhere now. So, and oh, that would be the other thing. So I used to work at a running store in Anchorage, Alaska, and I feel like people were very intimidated to come to our run group because I was a coach for the like in-person run group that we had, and I feel like people were very apprehensive and very scared to come because they thought they would be like the slowest runner. And I would really, really encourage people like, if you go to any run group, there's going to be such a wide range of ability. Like you're going to have your fast competitive runners. And I always use fast as quotation marks because there's always going to be somebody faster than you.
Hmm.
And you're going to have your run walkers and you're going to find your people. I really, please don't be nervous to go. It is scary when you don't know anybody. If you can bring a buddy, that will help. But I promise you, runners are so nice. They're so
They are.
welcoming. Uh, I just, I know taking that first step is the hardest part, but I promise it's worth it.
I love that. Ladies, you guys heard. Don't feel intimidated. Just start. Start small. Find your buddies and don't feel intimidating because you're always gonna find runners who might be faster. You're always gonna find runners who might be slower. And I love that. And I also love the how you said I'm a triathlete, so I do running, biking, cycling, and I'm new to this sport. So I really had a hard time with swimmers. I love all the swimmers, don't get me wrong, but the most welcoming was my runners. They were so welcoming. They were so cheerful. They were so like, yes, you can do it. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get faster. They gave me wings. All right, Michelle, quick fire for you. One non-negotiable habits.
Feeling before, during, and after your runs.
Love it. One mistake to avoid.
Going too fast on your easy days.
Yes, I've done that. Guilty. Um, one focus right now for you.
My mental mental game, mental thoughts that the negative
Mental
mental thoughts that I'm dealing with.
mental toughness.
Yeah, I have the toughness. It's like, but it's being an overachiever and a perfectionist. So trying to work on not getting so caught up in like splits
Okay.
on a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, like having
Yeah.
to be perfect
Yes.
in my workouts.
Okay. For the call movement, ladies, consistency over perfection. Don't be a perfectionist. Just find your consistency. I love it, Michelle. This is so powerful. You're such a inspiration for me, and I hope for a lot of my followers. Um, Thank you so much for giving me the time, for being here. And I know this is going to resonate with a lot of women. Just tell us again where they can find you.
TheRunnersPlate.com
Okay.
is my blog. On Instagram at TheRunnersPlate. And I just started my TikTok account, so we're experimenting with that a little bit as a
That's
millennial
awesome.
mom. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing there, but trying to get that going as well.
Folks, you guys heard where you can find Michelle. You know where to find me at Leticia Call on Instagram and the Call Movement on YouTube. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm gonna be cheering for you for Boston. That's very exciting.
Thank you.